Hey, it's Dr. Fred with You Are More Powerful podcast. This is based on the book You Are More Powerful Than You Think. Introduces six-step system healed. Helps you tap into that innate divinity, man. We're all a spirit having a human experience. Here to fulfill a soul purpose because that's the most fulfilling life. Hey, we're here to contribute to humanity. And so I'm just thrilled to death to have, number one, a great friend. Number two, a great leader, great chiropractor, and a completely soul-driven gentleman. And you're Italian, your name ends in a vowel, so that's good. That's really making an impact in the world. So welcome, Dr. Nick Silveri.
I appreciate it, Dr. Fred. I always am excited to talk to you. My energy level instantly is up at least two notches whenever I talk to you.
I like that about you. So hey, man, you've had an interesting life. Obviously, you were a born leader. We were talking about that before this. And you just saw the world differently. You ended up finding your purpose. Tell us your story so they can know the man behind the mission.
Yeah. So I appreciate you having me on. So I was born in Illinois. My parents got divorced before I think when I was one and a half. Got divorced really early. I've been through. My dad's been married 5 times. My mom's been married 3 times. So there's been a lot of ups and downs along the way, family-wise. So my mom had custody of me, and we moved to Phoenix. So I grew up in Phoenix and in Austin, went to college in San Antonio, and ended up in chiropractic school. And a little bit before, I was telling you my story of how I ended up in chiropractic school, because I always, I love the randomness of life. I always love that your life is one moment away from just being on a completely different trajectory. And so, the way that I ended up in chiropractic school is funny because I'd never been to a chiropractor before. I didn't even really know what they did. But growing up as a kid, I was like an entrepreneurial kid. I was good at math and sciences, so I decided I wanted to be a doctor for no real great reason, no purpose-driven reason. Just that I was like, oh, this seems like something I could be a business person and be a doctor. And so I decided I wanted to be a dentist, early on in life.
Hey, let me interrupt you for a sec, brother.
Yeah.
Because, we come into this life with a purpose. Like you said, you're entrepreneurial, which means you already think differently. You probably don't fit in school systems very well. You're probably a rule breaker because you see the world differently. But then let's look at your childhood. I mean, you had 8 marriages amongst both your parents. And then what you said is you always thought it was exciting that life could change on a dime.
That's right.
Because that's how you grew up. Yet that's changing the world. That's owning a business. I mean, there's a reason you went through that. And most kids would look at that as trauma. Maybe I'm not loved, or they love somebody more than me, or all this other bullshit. And you found the excitement in it.
Sometimes it was maybe a little too exciting. One of my dad's, his third wife, she had some issues, and we lived in this middle class home, when I was in the 80s, and so it was those doors that are there's nothing to them. It's just 2 pieces of cardboard and air in between. So my stepmom used to legitimately abuse my dad. She would hit him with a broomstick and stuff. And so one time he took refuge in a bathroom and put his foot against the door and locked her out of the bathroom. And she was on a rampage, and he's holding the door shut, and all of a sudden a butcher knife comes through the door. And it's just yeah, Dad, we gotta get out of here. We gotta do something a little bit different, So he's improved. Now on number 5, he's found the one. So that's good. That always teaches me, no matter how bad the situation is, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Now he's found a perfect match for him.
Yeah. Now your mantra is whenever a partner is really pissed off, stay away from, hide the knives.
Yeah. Or get more solid doors, one or the other.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Thicker doors. Right. That's it.
That's right.
Cool, man. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. So anyway, so the thing I love about life is things can change on a dime. So I went through college. Everybody knew I was going to dental school, so I worked really hard to keep my grades up, blah, blah, blah. And in my, in my college years, that was always a little bit tough because I'd like to have lots of fun, lots of friends. And so I went to grad school to help boost up my resume to get into dental school. So about halfway through grad school, I just decided that I just didn't want to work in people's mouths all day long. It just didn't sound like very fulfilling or very fun. And I was like, man, this sucks, because this was like I always had told myself this is what I was going to do. And I was selling women's shoes as like a part-time job while I was in grad school. And I was the best women's shoe salesperson in the Famous Bar company. Famous Bar got bought by Macy's. And every Friday and Saturday and Sunday, it would be really busy. So they would have like other employees come down and ring up our sales so that we could focus more on the selling. And this one guy who was just kind of a strange guy, he was like 45. He wore white tennis shoes with his dress pants. He lived in his mom's basement. He was just a strange dude. He just remembered that I was going to go to dental school. So we were like passing each other in the store on like a Tuesday night. And he said, hey, are you in dental school yet? I said, no, I decided not to go. And I'm like trying to go to the bathroom. I'm trying to like make my way over to the other side of the store. And this guy is just like stopping me to have this dumb conversation. And he goes, oh, well, what are you going to do now? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like pharmaceutical sales or something. I'm not sure. Cause I had like started to think about, I'd bought some books on how to become a pharmaceutical salesperson. And he goes, just like with no prompting, he's just like, you should be a chiropractor. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, talk to you later. And like, I went to the bathroom, right? So that night, just because I was kind of lost, I just didn't really know what the next stage was going to be. And so I just started doing some research online about chiropractors, and now I know this is not true, but it said at the time that, dentists make like $75,000 on average a year, and chiropractors make $65,000 or something like that. And you could own your own business. And I'm like, doctor, own your own business, can make decent money. Okay, I'm in. And legitimately, like I was in chiropractic school 45 days later. And it was the best thing that's ever happened to me, because once I was in chiropractic school, I had already like understood the chiropractic lifestyle and the message before going to chiropractic school. I believed in it. Like I never would take medicine. I didn't go to the doctor. Like I really just understood that the body can heal itself. And so when I got there, I was just like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then my life is, gone on all kinds of tangents from there.
Now, isn't that amazing? Because when you look at, let's go back to the healed system, things happen for a reason. And when you're, we always say that the most powerful prayer isn't a prayer praying for conditions, it's praying for wisdom. So because that's how I found it, man. I was like, I want to be a physical therapist. I'm like, I don't want to be a physical therapist. What am I doing? Rubbing somebody's knee? That doesn't sound like very much fun. And I got a pamphlet from school. So me was a pamphlet. With you, it was just one dude saying one thing a second, and the whole direction of your life changes.
And I mean, we're not talking about like some lifelong friend where we stayed up late at night and I told him all my problems and then we kind of brainstormed it was legitimately like, I'm on my way to the bathroom and this odd guy stops me. How he remembered that I told him like 6 months ago that I was going to dental school, I'll never know. And then why he said, it was just such a strange conversation. And it's legitimately the only reason I'm a chiropractor. Without that conversation, God knows what I would be doing.
God did know what you were doing. That's the point. That's the point, right? And you're like, hey, what's your name again? Having to look at his name tag, right?
Yeah.
So cool, man. Sorry to interrupt, but it's like it's amazing when you look at yourself as a soul on a human journey, how the smallest things are so perfectly orchestrated. And I heard the other day, miracles are only a change in perception. Like that was it. Was that a miracle? It was a change in perception. And It changed, it didn't change your life. It brought you into your destiny.
Right.
And,
and so anyway, I go to chiropractic school, make my way through it, start in practice. I was supposed to, my whole plan was to work for somebody for a year and then go back to Austin where I grew up at and start a practice there. But after a couple of months, the guy offered to sell it to me. So I bought my first practice. A year later, I started my second practice. And then a year after that, from the stress of running 2 practices, I had a heart attack at the age of 30. And then that really put me on the real path to where I'm at now.
Wow, man. I didn't know that, dude. We've been talking for how long? And I never knew you had a heart attack at 30. That's significant. Okay, so here's the bottom line, man. You know, there are no failures. There are no mistakes. What did you learn? What did you learn from having a heart attack? First of all, how'd you feel when you knew you were having a heart attack?
Well, I wake up at like 5. I'm a really good sleeper. Like I go to sleep, stay asleep, wake up, you know, rested. And so for me to wake up, and at that time I was not an early riser. Like I would wait until the last second to get up before I had to go to work or whatever. On the weekends, I'd sleep in till like 10, 11, 12. But that Saturday morning, I had patients at 8 o'clock in one of my offices that was about 30 minutes away. So I'd have to get up at 7 to get there by 8. And about 5 in the morning, maybe even before that, maybe like 4:30, it was like pitch black out. I wake up and like I just felt weird, right? Like my chest felt tight. It was hard. It's hard to explain. You just like feel weird. And I'm like, oh, maybe just like indigestion or something. And then I started having pain into like my left arm, my left shoulder. And I'm like, that's not a good sign. And I said, if this goes into my jaw, I'm going to have to drive myself to the emergency room. And about 2 minutes later, it went into my jaw. And I'm like panicked because my grandfather died of a heart attack at like age 45 or 50, I think. My uncle died of a abdominal aortic aneurysm. He was probably in his 40s. And so like heart issues are like a scary thing. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is not good. So I go into the ER, I drive myself in, which is probably a bad idea. And they can't really find anything wrong. Like everything is physically okay. My cholesterol is fine. My arteries are good. My heart function is fine. There's no like hole in my heart or anything. And the only thing that they could ever really attribute it to was stress. And I was burning the candle at both ends. You know, I was trying to run 2 practices. I really had no idea what I was doing. I was 3 days a week in each one of them. I was trying to learn how to be a business person, how to be a boss, how to be a leader at the same time, which is each one of those things is like a full-time job. And I was getting up at 7 in the morning. I was staying up till 2 or 3 at night, trying to do everything and learn everything. And it was it finally caught up with me. And so the lesson was that I can't do it all myself. And I need to have people around me. I'm bad about multitasking. I'm bad at multitasking. So I need people that can be experts at what they do so that I can be an expert at what I do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Right. So especially.
So that was, that started me. Say that again.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that that kind of led me to the next stage, which was starting to bring on a team and build out a team in my practice so that I didn't have to do the part that always I struggled with was going between a business owner and a doctor and back and forth. So I had to choose between one or the other. And in the hospital is when I chose. I said, I either need to do one or the other. And I was always more passionate about the marketing and the business building side of it. So I chose that. And then I started to find people that could be great doctors. And so that started me on about a 2-year journey of trying to replace myself in practice so that I could focus just on the things that brought me more energy, that brought me more joy. And so I got associates, I got staff. I ended up selling one of the practices and focusing on just the one. And and then I started just build the practice. I went from $250,000 a year to $750,000 a year in about, I think it was in 4 years. So I tripled the practice without having to see any of the patients, which was, my biggest core value is freedom. So I hated the part I did not like about chiropractic. I love chiropractic. The part I didn't like about it was that I physically had to be there every day. Like patients needed to be seen every single day, whether I wanted to be there or not.
Yeah.
And so, so I needed to set myself up for that.
Well, now, because there's so many listeners here and they're not chiropractors, I mean, there's a boatload that are, because we're chiropractors. And so they're getting the point. But this isn't about your business. This isn't necessarily about delegating. This is about really knowing what your core values are. Because, and we have a whole section on that in Healed, right? Exercise Loving Yourself and Others. How do you truly love yourself? By gaining clarity on your core values. Because when you're living outside your core values, that stress, anxiety, your health breaks down. You break down emotionally, physically, spiritually. And that's really what happened. I mean, you're literally, hey, from a spirit, mind, body model, your body had to quit for you to change your mind, right? And get clear on who you are, who you're not, and what matters to you in your life. And many times, hey, I had to have a stroke. I ran into the same thing at 40 when I had a stroke. I had a similar situation. So the more clear you get on that, then maybe you can avoid a life-threatening condition. How about that? You know, get clear on that now, or you don't have a choice.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I knew before that it was a problem, that this disconnect or this like turbulence inside of me was a problem. I just didn't realize it would manifest that way. But man, you know, and ever since then, I've really lived my life. It's like I have a lot of stuff going on. Let myself get too stressed out over any of it. There are very few like business emergencies. Like we tend to like run from one fire to the next. But I find that it's nothing is that important, right? To risk your health.
Yourself, yeah.
But the most important thing for me has always been, I want the choice of whether I do something or not. So that way I feel like I'm choosing everything that I do. So if I am going to start a new business, or I've got a new idea, I'm choosing to do that because this is how I've set up my life. And now I don't get as like stressed about things, or like, I just physically feel good because almost everything I do gives me more energy than makes me, which I think is the best indication of whether you're supposed to be doing it or not.
Oh my God, man. That is freaking brilliant. Like that, such a small thing is absolute freaking divine genius, because it gives you responsibility. Hey, if I choose it, I can do it with love. If I don't want to do it with love, then I don't choose it. Right? Not only does love make it grow, but love keeps you healthy, right? I mean, physically, emotionally, spiritually. That's awesome.
And you know, for the people that don't own their own, whether they're a chiropractor or not, the people that don't own their own business, like with me, I feel like I'm 100% in control of like my financial future, just because I can just work harder on these good ideas that I think I have, or I could come up with a new idea. But if you're somebody who like works in a job and they don't really have that ability to just like do whatever it is that they want to do whenever they want to do it, you know, for those of you that don't know who 𝗿𝗍𝗱𝗀𝗀𝗃, he's a big influence in my life, and he's the reason why I'm in now my marketing agency. But one of the biggest things that he talks about is like, find the thing that you're passionate about, because the internet has now made it doing almost anything, especially if you're passionate about it. If you're passionate about something, you can figure out a way to make a living at it, and you'll get all the benefits of being able to do what you love every single day. Like, I love what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's your purpose, man. So you're inspired by it. So where are you now? Right. So what's your vision now? What are you involved in now? How do you see yourself making people's lives better?
Yeah. So I did my second altogether 2011. So from 2011 to 2017, I basically just ran the marketing side of my practice. In 2017, I started a marketing agency because I realized that that's what chiropractors really needed, was somebody who had the ideas, me, and who had somebody who could implement it for them, my team. So between the group of us of all worlds, and now we have a content marketing agency, chiropractors spread the message of chiropractic out into their local communities. Whereas when I have my practice, the only people that I can really influence are the ones that are close enough to drive to my practice. Now I'm able to help chiropractors all over the world help people in their local communities.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So what's your vision for the future? Like, how do you see your purpose moving forward in the future?
Yeah, the vision right is having poles in the water, and fish from each fishing pole. One magical fishing pole pulls out 100. So right now it's really about diversifying that I do, the services that I offer, so that if one thing shrinks a little bit, it doesn't really, oh shit. Oh, never mind. I thought we dropped the call because it did something on my computer. But
no, we're all good. I know.
So my idea, what's that?
It's a little interrupted. Go ahead.
That's right. So my vision is really to try to diversify things, and in every business that I create, I'm a less vital part of the day-to-day as I add new things. So I start with the end in mind of how can I add value to the world, and mainly to like my ideal customers. So like most of my services and products they revolve around helping chiropractors in some way in their practice or in their life. And so I just stay focused on that. If something else outside of chiropractic comes along, that's great. But my girlfriend and I, we're going to be together forever. I just got her a forever girlfriend ring. I think maybe it's like a promise ring when we were younger or something, but we don't really want to get married, but we like want to stay together forever. So she wants to, we're talking about starting to have kids. And so I just want to make sure that my life is set up so that I can travel and I can do all the things that we want to do with our life without having to like physically be somewhere. I don't want to have to be the only person that really does anything. Yeah,
that's the core value of freedom. Like I said, you have clarity on yourself. That's awesome, man. You're creating your life according to who you are and what your gifts are, and you're using that in your purpose. So that's awesome. So any final words of wisdom you want to leave our listeners with?
I mean, we touched on it, but man, like you only get one life, and whatever stuff that you're trying to work through, I think what you're doing, Fred, is amazing for people. The Healed system is amazing to help people like work through and clear their problems. I've seen it in person happen. And I just think that getting over your shit and focusing in on the stuff that brings you passion and brings you energy. There's no time to waste on being miserable. Everyone should be striving to just be fulfilled with the moments that they're given. We just got done this last weekend. 𝗃𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 passed away with his daughter and the other 7 people on that helicopter. And I think those kinds of like big tragic moments give people a chance to reflect on like what's really important in life, and the ones that you love and the things you want to spend time doing, and the impact. The reason why there's been so much of an outpouring of grief is because he impacted so many people with his mindset, with the things he did in his community. And like he wasn't perfect, just like we're not perfect, but he did the best. He was always evolving and learning. And so, yeah, I just think that focusing in on the things that bring you real passion in life is the most important thing.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us. You had one-liners of brilliance in there. Really shows not only the level of consciousness, but where your heart is. So I appreciate that, man. certainly what the audience may or may not know, we're accountability partners in accountability groups. So, and you always share brilliance there too. So, hey, love and appreciate you, and talk to you on Monday on our call.
Sounds good. Thanks, Fred.
All right, peace.